Hello, this is Deb Portelance with the Reading Fashion Alliance. This is a tutorial video to demonstrate a cotton face mask pattern in response to the COVID-19 crisis. Please be aware that these face masks will not provide the protection of an N95 mask. They're meant to be used if you have nothing else at all or as another layer over the N95. So let's get started. This is the mask that we are going to complete today. It'll only take a few minutes with the supplies that you've been provided, or if you have some at home that you'd like to use. Our supplies are one layer of cotton fashion fabric, one layer of fusible interfacing. We need 2 pieces of elastic and 1 wire. So first of all, we're going to take our fashion fabric, and if you look at it, the fashion fabric has a bright print on one side and the wrong side is the dull side. We're going to put right sides down, but first I'd like to put down a pressing cloth. We use a pressing cloth when we're using any kind of sticky or fusible interfacing so that we don't mess up our ironing surface. So right sides down, meaning the bright side down. Then we take our fusible interfacing, and how do we tell what's the proper side of the fusible interfacing? You can feel that it has rough bumps, and those are the glue that are going to stick to the wrong side of your fashion fabric. The right side is very smooth. So I have that in place. Place your interfacing piece on top. And if you've noticed, I have left a border all around the periphery of your fabric. And we do that so that you don't get sticky anywhere else as well. And then I'm going to put another pressing cloth. And then with a hot iron, your hot iron needs to be set at a cotton setting or very hot. And if you can use steam because that helps it to stick better. So I'm going to press my fabric all the way through. And I got a little bit of a leak in my iron, but let's keep going. Check in there, and you can see it's stuck really well. Take our pressing cloth, move that. Now, if you'll take your fabric, your fused fabric, and you want portrait, lay it portrait style in front of you, and then put right sides together. Remember, it's the pretty side. And we're going to just finger press here. And now we're going to go to the sewing machine. And when we go to the sewing machine, we're going to use a 3/8 inch. You can do 1/4 up to 1/2 inch. Does not have to be super accurate. Just be consistent in the size of seam that you use. And we're going to stitch all the way around, leaving a 2 to 3 inch opening. So lift your presser foot. And if you come down, your needle's gonna come forward just a little bit, and then we're going to back stitch a couple stitches to lock our seam in place, and then stitch forward. Come up to your corner, needle down, turn a 45-degree angle, stitching again to the next corner. Up to, and needle down, and again turn 45-degree angle and stitch, leaving my section open. Again, we'll take it back to our pressing board. You can see where the stitching line is. I want to fold down and press right where that stitch line is, and we're going to press it and give a nice crease. Move my ironing cord here. Be careful, don't want to burn yourself when you're steaming. Keep your fingers out of the way. Then we're going to take our wire and try to center it in the middle here, right on top of our stitch line. So you have your seam line, and then we're going to put our wire there, fold this over. Push it up, so you want it right up on the edge, your wire right up on the edge. And I take and pin it to secure it a little bit. Feel down here where you can feel the end of the wire, and my wire down here. Let's go ahead and pin this one. We can make a little adjustments if we need to. Again, pin it in place. There's my ends, they're about even. Doesn't have to be exact, you don't have to measure everything. Do need is there's the end of your wire. Bring your pin so that you're just a little bit beyond there, so you know exactly where to go. We don't want to hit our wire because that could break our needle. And then again, I'm going to mark the end of this one as well. I'm going to go back to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew at a 45-degree angle so we're out of the way of our wire. Then we'll sew about 1/4 of an inch right down the middle, and then angle back out. So I'm lining up my sewing with my pin. Take your pins out. Don't ever sew over a pin. It can ruin your machine or it can break. And we don't want that. So I'm back stitching a couple stitches and then going forward. Needle down, again turn, so I'm parallel, and take your fingernail and just make sure that your wire is nice and secure up against the stitching line so you don't hit the wire. Take your pins out. Again, make sure that the wire you can see there, and use feel in there and make sure that you're away from the wire. Pin out, stitch down, almost done with this one. Again, it's right there. Needle down, turn and angle off. Take a couple stitches back and forth. There we go. We're done with that. Then we trim our threads. Okay. I'm going to turn this inside out, making sure that we get right up to our corners and turn the corners so we can get a nice sharp corner. In regular sewing, this is kind of a down and dirty, let's get it done, but when you're doing regular sewing where you need to make a turn, if you can get right up in that corner and make it nice and sharp, it gives you a really good finish. As well as pressing. Pressing is very important when we do our sewing. So we're gonna turn these, but then we're gonna press it out because we wanna make sure that we have a nice turn. And roll your seams up. I have kind of skipped that. Normally in a construction of a garment, we press the seams open and then we turn it. But in this case, I don't think it's needed. So we're just gonna try to get these done. Take your wire, you can feel it in there, it kind of wiggles around, make sure it gets up nice and tight. Get your corners up there, and then we're gonna press. And move your fingers so you don't burn your fingers. And you hit that steam button. See how I've got that corner nice and sharp? That's what you want it to look like. This one isn't because we've sewn our wire there. So your wire is now the top of your mask, and we're gonna put pleats in it. So start kind of up to the top. The other thing is your pleats are gonna face downward. We want them to come toward us. So kind of a mountain and then press it down towards you. Safety, put a pin in it to hold it, secure it. Again, in this case, we don't need it super accurate. We just need them put together, right? And then I have this nice little measure, and I want to have a 3-inch side when I'm completed. So again, I'm going to make my mountain, and I'm going to fold it down. See, I'm I'm a little low, and I've done a couple of these, so I've decided I'm going to take these pins out and I'm going to start a little bit higher so you can see where I've got my mountain. I'm going to go a little bit. There we go. That looks a bit better. And I'm going to pin it and come over here. Like I said, it looks very close, you know, the same distance, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, let's start up there a little higher, come down. Now, am I close to 3 inches? Maybe a little bit more. There we go. So there, pin that down. Now we're going to top stitch around the edge and add our elastic. And then we'll be done. See how quick and easy that is? So I'll grab a couple of my pieces of elastic, come back over to my sewing machine. So there are a couple different ways. You can go ahead and top stitch all the way around and then add your elastic. I like to go ahead and stitch it all at one time. So I'm going to start, again, you've got your wire at the top, and I'm going to top stitch, so 3/8 of an inch over, and I'm going to start in the center. You can pretty much start anywhere. I just decided that's what I wanted to do this time. And this little divot you see, that's okay because that's where we put the wire in. So I'm going to come up to the corner. I'm going to put my needle down, turn 45 degrees, put my elastic in, and then do a stitch back and forth so that it's secure. Also, I like to put a zigzag, so I'm going to put a zigzag on my machine, and that should be, I've got it set at 2.7, 2.5 in length, 1 in width. You can figure out what you'd prefer for yours. And I'm going to go back and forth just a couple stitches because I like it nice and secure. And then I'm going to go back to my straight stitch. Again, over my pleats, make sure my pins are taken out. Machine repairs are just too expensive, so you want to make sure you get those pins out and don't sew over them. Needle down, maybe one more stitch and a needle down. There we go. Now when you're doing the elastic, you want to make sure it's not twisted when you attach the second one. Oh, let's go up. I went a little too far, but there we go. Got to put our elastic in. Go back to my zigzag, forward, backward, forward. Okay, now I'm going to turn, needle down, foot down, 3/8. Oops, see? There we go. Back to straight stitch, almost forgot. Go down. Needle down, turn my second piece of elastic, and maybe we'll go up. You'll get the hang of it after you do a couple of these, and you'll find what you're comfortable with doing. So again, my zigzag stitch. And this is the front of our mask. We just decided this would be the easiest way to get our projects done quickly and make it easy for our new sewists to enjoy a project and get them done. Again, take my pin out and my last little piece of elastic, checking to make sure it's not twisted. And almost done. Okay, zigzag. Backward, forward. So remember, the one thing is your machine is built to do the work for you. Don't try to push or pull it. It's going to do the work for you. So again, turning, line up. So I use the edge of my foot. That's always a good way to have an accurate measure. Just run the edge of your fabric on the edge of your foot, and it keeps it straight. And go back to straight stitch. And let's trim our threads. Remember, this is our top. Make sure you keep away from that top wire. And I'm trying to line up my stitching. Does not have to be perfect. We'll leave that for our couture projects. So as you see, we've got our little cotton face mask finished, and it is put on over the nose. Make sure that you press the wire so that it fits onto your nose. Put the elastic around your ears like this and pull it down. And your cotton face mask is complete. Thank you for joining us at the Reading Fashion Alliance, and we hope to see you soon. Happy sewing.